Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Monday night, 8 p.m. in this burning inferno that is called the UK, and we are here for the Online Darts Live Lounge, episode 210. First of all, big thank you to Cam and Dan last week, who did an amazing job holding the fort. Dan, how are we?
It's warm, isn't it? It certainly is up here. You've normally got at least half a degree on us as well down that end of the country. But all good, mate. Yeah. We missed you last week, but we had good fun. We had a bit of a laugh with everybody in the chat room. It was a sort of amateur hour to an extent, but we had a good laugh and we had some good fun. It's all right. I tell you what. We're definitely hitting like summer fun time at the minute, because I was looking literally just before we came on. I was sort of looking out the window, the conservatory sort of behind me. The kids are in the garden. It's like amazing, beautiful sunshine, all is well. And then I was looking in my calendar, and I've got a busy few weeks because I was looking at the next few weekends ahead. And like the geeks know that like I'm a Stevie Wonder fan, and I've got I'm seeing Stevie Wonder this weekend coming in Manchester. I'm seeing Stevie Wonder the weekend after in Hyde Park. And then the weekend after that, I'm going to drive for my annual pilgrimage to Blackpool. So we are on the cusp of a very big, exciting month for Dan Simpson. It's all is going well up here, mate. How are you? How was your trip? Did you did it all go to plan? Straightforward.
Yeah, I know, it was wicked, and obviously we're going to talk about the impact in North America shortly. But yeah, it was good. I checked in last Monday. Mr. George Noble and I shared an Uber ride from JFK into the city, so we tuned in and watched for a bit as we were heading in towards Manhattan, which was good. But yeah, no, look.
Now do you know the anxiety you induce sometimes? Now I have to think: did any of us fucking have a dig at George Noble at any point? we dig at that many people all the time. I'm start thinking, shit, who did I upset there?
But no, look, everyone knows my love affair with New York City. It is the most incredible place in the world, and if anyone hasn't been, just get yourself there, because it is amazing. But a great time, some really good content, some content that couldn't go out, standard.
Just for the WhatsApp groups.
Yeah, I've got a clip I can send you. Yeah, no, look, it was superb. Chat room is rammed. Malachite is in, Dell is in. I'm like, I'm going to put it up.
I knew you were coming back. See, that's it. Well, so do you know what, Phil? You are about because week after next, I was in London last week, and it was only because I was traveling around and I just didn't get a chance to get there. But you will get it in a fortnight. My middle of the summer, hottest day of the year, Christmas in Harrods selfie that I like to send you in the summer when I'm down there. So week after next, I'm in London again, and I'll be swinging by Harrods. So you'll get the Christmas, the summer Christmas selfie.
K-Days is in. Fraser, how we doing? James, Bob, Adam, how we all doing, mate? Hope you are good. Making the wife tune in tonight. That's always a good thing. How we doing, Bob? I didn't go to the Club World Cup game in New York. Didn't get a chance. Marcus, how we doing? Michael, it's Ram. Jason, it was always a pleasure seeing you, buddy, as well. Brendan, how we doing? Owen, Daniel, Bob, Kieran, Wayne, Warren, how we doing, Mark? Good to have you in. Shay, how we doing? Bill, cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll talk about that as well. Ben says good evening. Puzzle Dan, how we all doing? Oh, I tell you what, it is absolutely
it's a right busy night, isn't it, tonight?
Yeah, Mark says evening, PB and Mr. Simpson. James, how do? Mark, Chris, how we doing? Uber from JFK feels got. Can I say this? Yeah, I can. Obviously, because I'm with George, he's claiming it back off the PDC.
Someone's kept the receipt. It's a business expense, no matter who's paid for it. It's still it's taxed up, that sort of shit.
Seamus is in. Kate, Anthony, how are we doing? I'll send it to you as well, my friend, because you know what we're talking about. Good to have you in. Connor, how are we doing? Chris is in. We've got Jeff was over on Twitch as well. We'll get starting getting audience from Twitch.
Are we on Kick again? We're on Kick, aren't we, as well?
We're on Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. Check us out.
How cool! I like to. I still like to maintain a presence on apps that I don't know what they are. I don't know what they are or what they do, but I'm on them. I'm there.
How we doing, Fred? Right, let's go straight into it. What was your overall sum up of this year's US Darts Masters and North American Darts Championship?
Oh, right. So overall, it's really difficult, isn't it? Because
James is in on Twitch as well. We're getting a few from Twitch. Nice to have you in.
I'm enjoying it. We've got some Twitch. We've got some Twitch guys in. This is very cool. This is very cool. Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? I thought the locals represented themselves very well. I did pick Rob. I picked Rob, like on the show last week for everybody that was in here. Picked Rob Cross to go out first round. Got that bang on. I think we sort of got like. Let's be honest. If somebody calls Luke, if someone called Luke wins it, it's difficult to sort of even pretend any surprise and go, oh yeah, that was interesting. Well, it sort of happened the way we expected to. I didn't expect Bunting to go out so early. I thought that was I thought I was really pleased with what we saw from Jason and Brandon. I thought, being able to beat Stephen Bunting over the same format as the Premier League, the 170 finish as well in that match, like proper highlight reel stuff. Getting the crowd into it, giving them another home victory. I thought it was certainly a lot more watchable than some of the other World Series events that we've seen, because let's be honest, that they've not all been great. Bahrain was shite. The Dutch one wasn't bad. But I thought it was really good. I thought what we saw from it in terms of production spectacle. You'll be able to give us the details. You were in the room, but I understand it was a darts attendance record in North America, certainly in Madison Square Garden, anyway, in New York. So we had some really, really impressive pictures, images. I don't know how that felt. You'll be able to tell us how it feels in the room, because let's be honest, we've done it. You can have loads of people in a room, and it feels a bit, it's all right. Or you can have not loads of people in a room and it can feel absolutely monstrous. But it looks really good. Looked impressive. How was it? How was it in the room?
Yeah. So just a quick one here. Mike says, first time during the podcast live. I went on Friday night. It was one of the most fun nights I had in a long time. Can't wait for next year. So just for some facts and figures, across the whole weekend, over 10,000 tickets sold. We're speaking to the PDC boys, over 10,000 on the Saturday night, over 4,500 in, which was incredible. Literally, the only tickets left were a couple of rows right up in the corners, which in the UK we'd call restricted views.
Yeah,
because of the angle. It was sensational. I put a couple of clips on social. The atmosphere, if you didn't know where it was, you wouldn't have said it was in North America. And that's a compliment, because it was rocking.
Rowdy singing. It looked really good. It looked like a Premier League night. But you can film things very cleverly, can't you? You can be cute how you do it. But that's why I was interested to hear from you how it felt in the room.
Yeah, it was electric. The actual darts themselves, I thought, was, look, we've labelled this the Premier World Series event, and I think it delivered on all aspects, from the standard of play. Even though, say, the Nordic and Baltic, I'm forgetting the Dutch Darts Masters, because that don't count. That ain't a World Series event. That was bought and paid for because Toto wanted it. You look at all the locals were all tour card holders, so that ain't a World Series event. That was just a glorified exhibition that someone paid for.
Exactly. It is what it is, isn't it?
In terms of proper growing the game World Series event, this is the best. And you look at players like Jason Brandon, was superb. Danny Lalby produced one of his best performances on TV. Stowe Buntz pushed Luke Humphries. Gates didn't against MVG. If I'm being hypercritical,
still averaged over 90 though.
Correct. Yeah.
Did well.
If I'm being hypercritical, and this is a compliment, I don't want to take it in a bad way because this is meant as a compliment. I was expecting and wanted more from Adam Savada. Being the way he's played on the tour, I wanted more and I expected more from him. He didn't quite deliver, but look, that happens.
Yeah, Adam was on my list of like sort of bits to come to, that things where, yeah, again, it's really difficult, isn't it, to criticize someone who has had the amount of big stage experience that Adam's had, which isn't a great deal. You know, that in terms of who he's up against, playing in that venue against Kessie Price, it was going to turn up at average 102.5 anyway. Like, it's already a very, very challenging prospect to go and do well in that. But we know that, and I think he'll be frustrated with that because most other people know that he is better, you know, than a 74 average on any stage. And I think that, you know, whilst Gessie turned up, played really well, and not many in the world, never mind, you know, there aren't many tour carders that could have kept with Gessie the way that he played that opening game. He would have beaten most people.
Correct.
But I think Adam will have wanted to make that a more competitive match and to you know, to pick a few more legs up on that big stage in that room. I think, I mean, Nathan Aspinall was like outrageous on his run to the, you know, the numbers that he was putting in. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, Littler managed to average 109 and get beat, but again, that was because of just a right typical Nathan Aspinall. Don't know I'm beat. Doesn't know that I'm not supposed to win this. I'll just keep going and picking a few more legs up. I thought it was the most impressive that we've seen so far this year from World Series event. Really good. It was. I mean, it remains. We'll talk about the North American Championship, so we can speak a bit more about like two players that went out early in Matt Campbell and Jim Long. It's tough watching Jules van Dongen in it though.
Yeah, and
we had a chat about it last week about whether or, and I'm still of the view. I know what Jules' narrative is, which is that he's earned the opportunity to be there, probably needs the money, and let's be honest, who doesn't fancy an extra few grand in their hand, no matter how much you've got. But I do think there's a point where somebody has to come and step in and tap him on the shoulder and say, you know what, mate, on this occasion, we don't think it's best for you, because certainly once you see that draw, you just think, oh, Jesus, here we go.
I was going to say, it was asked in there why you played and so on. Look, first of all, he'd earned the right to, and I fully understand that. And the message he's trying to show his kids and so on about not giving up, I fully respect what message he's trying to send. And this isn't a slight on Jules van Dongen, but there is a fine line between sporting integrity and doing the right thing. Now, with the greatest will in the world, I don't think UK bookmakers would have priced that match up, or even is North American Darts Championship one. And this isn't on Jules to pull out, because like we said, he's earned the right. I thought he might have got, like you say, a tap on the shoulder and said, look, this isn't going to be competitive, which the World Series is meant to be. And so on.
I get the idea, Phil, of him. You know, I don't be wrong. I respect the idea of, like, I want to dig in. I want to demonstrate, show people that you shouldn't give up, and that is
I fully respect
great attitude on the Pro Tour. On turning up to Pro Tour events and battling through events in Milton Keynes and Barnsley and trying your best and keeping with it, great. But I think to put that pressure, to put him or to allow him to go into those situations at the minute is not especially responsible. Like, I don't think it's a great decision to do that. And I would have been happier, I think, if someone had to give him a top. Honestly, I saw the draw and I just thought, like, he's just going to get pumped, isn't he? And that's what happens. It's a tough one, because, like you say, he's earned the right to be there, but he earned the right to be there, quite a long time ago now. And he's a very different player from what he was when he earned the right to be there.
And people are asking about Bahrain and so on, and I get that. However, a couple of points. One, these players are the best in that region, and for the want of a better phrase, the standard in Bahrain is shite, so they're all going to be shite.
Yeah, if you own 3 darts, you've qualified. Like, there's a lad got his eye on a spot who's only got 2.
Yeah. And the other thing is Jules he's struggling with a neurological injury, is what we're being told from Dave, that there is a nerve problem somewhere between there, and there, which means he can't feel the dart in his hand and so on. Now, if you are injured, which this is clearly an injury, are you fit to play? In any other sport, if you're not fit to play, you are not past fit, and so on. And
yeah, you need to pass a medical in most sports, don't you?
And this is one of those scenarios that this wasn't Dartitis, which is a different kettle of fish altogether. He is struggling with a neurological problem, which he can't feel the dart in his hand, and his hand does silly things and so on, which at that point, is he fit to play? And my answer would be no.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And like I say, I think it's perhaps different if you are looking at it from a player welfare point of view. And you look at, well, he's going to Milton Keynes and he's going to a Pro Tour event and he's going to try hard, and you never know, he might he might get through one game, and one game might make a big difference to him, and yeah, I get that, but stick him on a stage and having him pumped by a Premier League player publicly, I'm not sure that is particularly entertaining. Like, nobody wants to see, nobody is entertained by that. There's a reason why nobody wants to see decent dart players play against me, because it's not entertaining, it's not fun. It's an incompetent person being pummeled by someone who's unbelievably talented. And it's, yeah, I think something should have been done, and I suppose at this point onwards, he's not really going to qualify for anything. So
I'm not sure he plays again.
Yeah, well, he's not going to play anything PDC for the rest of the year because he's not going to have qualified. He's not. He'll play some Pro Tour events.
I don't think he'll even do that. I don't think we'll see him unless they can get to the bottom of this neurological problem and he can then grip a dart properly and so on. I'm not sure he travels again this year.
Yeah, it's just it's a real shame, but I'm just not convinced that allowing you should never. I think sometimes there are occasions where the decision should be taken out of the player's hands, because the player.
I think this is one of them.
The player, any player, not Jules, any player can't be objective. Like they can't be objective about their own. Their own playing. They will want to just play regardless. They'll always think that it's that far away. How many hundreds of players have we've listened to them tell us that it's that far away? I just need to feel it. It's nearly there. No, I don't think it is. I think on this occasion, I'm afraid.
No, I agree. And look, but on a more positive note, the event itself, the buzz around it, we saw fancy dressing. Oh, by the way, God would have done his nut because there was a whole load of people dressed as Wayne Rooney. So there was football colours in there. So God would have
Oh dear me! It's in the top 10 biggest crimes, I think, isn't it?
But what I'm saying, there was fancy dress. They got it. I'm so hopeful that we are now scratching the surface and getting into these areas. I'm hopeful, or obviously we don't know the figures yet, but the Peacock deal would have massively helped as well, put it into more homes in North America and so on. And I think there are, in the next 5 years, I genuinely think there are great things to come in the darting landscape from North America. Just what we've seen and so on.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all things, isn't it? It's like, first of all, they've got the infrastructure, like, to support any sport. That they are spoilt for venues and sort of everything that they could possibly want. On top of that, they've got a real depth of growing talent. They've got some really smart people running the tour over there. Like it seems at the minute to be the perfect storm for what you would want and need for a sport to take off. And we know there's a market there. There's clearly 4,000 people at a time willing to pack into a venue in one city. If you take that as an example, how many other cities across America and Canada and various parts of South and Central America have we got the same? So yeah, very exciting. Very exciting.
Jason, I agree. Jules has done what every player has done. What we're saying is that decision should have been taken out of his hands. Is the thing. We're not saying he makes that decision. We're saying on medical grounds.
Yeah.
Was he fit to play? In my opinion, the answer is no. So that decision should have been taken out of his hands.
And I think if his arm was in a sling and he's not able to let go of darts properly, it's very obvious. People can see it. But because that's a slightly more complicated, explanation as to why he can't hold and let go of darts properly, it's obviously that's not taking place. That's not happening. So yeah, I just think the decision needed to have not been his. And we said it a few times. I said it last week. Yeah. They shouldn't have been there, but it's not on him to put his hand up and withdraw.
Well, it's for me, it's the same argument of when before they changed protocols to do with the concussion rule in football. When the player used to have to say, yeah, I'll be all right. No, he's always going to say he's all right. You take that decision away from him.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. It can't be the player's decision, can it?
Yeah. As I say, it was just and on the Saturday, the fans turned on Jules, rightly or wrongly. Look, again, it's the old argument. They paid their money. Can they do what they've done? I don't agree with it, but the fans were giving him shit.
Yeah, I'd also suggest that what you've not got there is, and it's difficult for us sometimes to remember that most people who've bought a ticket for an event like that know about 3 to 5% as much as us about, and most people in the chat room, because these are all the hardcores. These are the people that will spend their Monday night doing this. But most of the people that are buying a ticket to those events, they simply don't know the background. They don't know the story. They don't. What they see is the great American hope that they hoped would show up and compete against the best in the world, that they'll feel A, hasn't represented them in the way that he should. B, let's not pretend that there may not be a little bit of a twist there about the fact that he's not. Let's be fucking honest. He's not American, and there's an American who isn't there, or any number of Americans that aren't there because the place went to someone who is only American in a very loose.
Yeah, James, I've heard that. I must admit I didn't watch it because I was sleeping. I heard it wasn't looking great for Thomas Banks either. I'm going to try and catch some highlights of that later. But yeah, I didn't see anything of it. But look, I understand cost and so on and blah blah blah. We must be close to more events in North America with the elite. Like the CDC do an incredible job, but we must be close to more big time events in North America. The way this is done.
Well, I'll bang the drum again, but I cannot find an argument against holding the World Cup in Madison Square Garden. Makes complete sense. There's absolutely no reason whatsoever why the Darts World Cup shouldn't be in that room next year, because they've demonstrated that they can sell the tickets. The World Cup is a cool, interesting event. It's compact. You are already flying people from all over the bloody place anyway. So you're already bringing people from all quarters of the globe into the UK, into Germany. Germany can have something else that's easier for the rest of the tour to go to, for your tour card, for a ranking event. You can give the Germans a ranking event because 95% of your tour card holders can get in and out of Germany quickly. For me, it's very, very logical that the World Cup goes to Madison Square Garden. Very logical.
Yeah, I suppose whilst we're talking about this, is an interesting one. Do you think more should be done around sport in terms of supporting players with Dartitis. Now, this is a real tough one because my initial answer is yes, but when we think about it, it's like there's no cure for it. There's no known cure how to get over it. Some players never get over it, and so on. So in terms of support, yes, but I don't know what and how that looks because it's such a unique thing that you look at it, there's no standard, right, this will make you better. There's not.
Yeah, that is the challenge because it's like anything, isn't it? Like, should more be done? Well, yeah, probably. That would be nice if more was done. Like, that doesn't so much, yes, it should, but yes, it would be lovely if more was done. But then the next question needs to be, like, what do you do then? Like, what is it? Because what does that actually look like? And how then can you measure, who should get it and whether or not it's a success or not? And then secondly, who manages it? Is it the players moan too much PDPA? Like, is it the PDPA? I mean, they likely got the funds to do it. Is it the PDC? Well, then what you're looking at is, you're looking at a promoter rather than a governing body. You're looking at an organisation that may want to invest in some well-being for its players, but then you've got to imagine that if the PDC was to put something in place, wherever that was, it will be focused on the tour card holders rather than those that are sitting outside of it. And let's be honest, half the problem here is that those that get it and get it badly end up losing their tour cards, and they're the ones that are suffering for it. So then you fall outside of the PDC's remit. So you're probably relying on the PDPA. We've talked at length about how well that organisation is able to function. So if your sole hope is relying there, then it's probably not going to be that's the issue. Is like you've got some people that are active. I know that there are people who are kind volunteers. You can rely on the goodwill of good people where they help other people, and those that have had some success with it, I know they do. There are also a mixture of, let's be honest about it, people who will charge for their services, and they are a mixture of competent, well-informed sports psychologists with proper educations and well-researched theories. But there are also fucking
witch doctors,
charlatans who come around your house and like Eileen, you got Eileen Drury coming around, fucking casting the dark spirits out of you and making you wear funny clothes while you throw darts to get rid of the evil spirits that are not letting them go. So yeah, it's difficult. And what you don't want to see is young players or players who are struggling to scrape a living from the sport end up throwing away money on nonsense and shite and being conned into different things. I suppose it's one of those, isn't it, where if you have a well-run, reputable, sport-wide governing body, then whatever could be in place, or whatever help there could be put in place in a way where it could be quality assured, vetted, and there'd be some assurance that people weren't getting scammed and ripped off and that there was some value for money in it. But without that, then it's going to be a bit of a Wild West, I think, I'm afraid.
Yeah, agreed. Let's play a couple of clips and then we'll touch on the North American as well. So we've got some clips from the actual tournament and then we've got some clips from stuff players said elsewhere as well. Let's do. I've got two clips from Luke. We'll go back to back.
Oh, this is the real special one for me on the World Series. This is the biggest one. This is always going to be the most iconic venue I think darts will ever go to or I'll ever play at. I don't see it getting any more iconic than Madison Square Gardens. It's, in my opinion, one of the top 3 or 5 best venues in the world. So. They're very, very special. It's one I've always wanted to win. When I come here 2 years ago, it's my 3rd time now. I always dreamt of winning this one. So when I finally won it tonight, it was an amazing relief, and to have that. It's a great trophy. That it looks great, and for me as someone who loves America anyway, it felt really special. So having my mum and dad here, obviously, that makes it extra as well.
We've seen you grimacing in pain all evening at some points. How have you managed to produce this with obviously what could be quite a serious injury?
Yeah, I mean, my thumb is incredibly swollen. It's all around here. It's I mean, I'll show you off camera. It's just all swollen, and it's hard to play through. I was struggling with the grip. I couldn't hold my thumb in the same position. And I don't want to make it all about that because I've won the title. I don't want it to all be the headlines about me having an injury. But yeah, the guy when he pulled my hand back, he really hurt it. He's obviously hurt it. So I'm gonna have to go home and get it X-rayed and stuff. I don't think it's broken because it doesn't hurt to squeeze it, but there could be something in it. So, but I got a couple of weeks off now. I think the next time I play will be in Kiel, which is it's 2 weeks away. So I've got plenty of time. It's not broken. That's the main thing, but. Yeah, it's not in good shape. It's incredibly swollen. So for me, I kind of surprised myself. Like I said earlier on the stage, when I got in here, I was just thinking, just get through the first game, and that'd be a blessing in disguise for me. And then obviously I beat Gezi at half-hearted. And then when I was in that final, I said to my family, I'm just going to give it everything. I'm just going to, if I injure my hand up on the final, it doesn't matter. I don't care. Just give it everything. And I tried my best, and it was good enough. So yeah, really, really pleased. But I don't want the injury to hamper the fact that I actually won the trophy, but I wasn't at my best, but I managed to win. So
it was a real interesting one that I saw his hand, thumb up real close. It was huge in and around like that area there, and just like to point out, it wasn't an American that did it. It was actually an Irish bloke.
Standard in New York.
Yeah, it wasn't a North American, so I'm not blaming them.
It's something that I have always, and it's the cynic in me. Like, it is the cynic in me, but I have always felt nervous when I've seen players like coming along like that, because like you and I know, Phil. There are some people that bet some big fucking money on darts. Like, there are some people drop coin. And, if you're there, you've got that opportunity to give them a bit of a tweak, a particularly strong handshake. Like, I've always worried that could be a thing because, it's not like lots of other sports where, like, your interaction with the crowd, the high five from somebody, like, it's not going to have an immediate effect on like what happens in like immediately after. But I think when the dart players are about to get on the stage and their hands are very like important to what they're about to do, especially their fingers and their thumbs, I just think they have to be careful with. Like, I've always thought that it's a bit of a risk.
Yeah, look, I believe the guy was thrown out. Also, this may be a blessing because this, like you say there, this may knock some heads together and go, hang on a minute, let's make the walk-on wider and let's go more wrestling, boxing walk-ons. Do you know what I mean?
I'll tell you what I think, Phil. And I've thought it for quite a while. I worry about people that need a high five off someone they see on the telly to have had a good night. I think it's a bit weird. I'm all for a handshake. I am a handshaker. When I see people I've not seen, I'm happy with a handshake. Like, but that's somewhat like I think that's part of a formal meeting. Like, I think it's odd. Like, grown men, I have always thought it's strange. Like, and don't get me wrong, the walk-ons tonight, the atmosphere is good. People around that area watching. I've always thought it weird, like grown men trying to get a high five, especially as time's gone on and I've got a bit older and I'm seeing like 40, 50-year-old blokes trying to get a high five off an 18-year-old lad as he walks past after. I've always just thought it's a bit strange. It's a bit odd in the moment. Yeah, I would be more than happy to just like widen the walk on. I appreciate and I say this on the cusp of us going on our pilgrimage to Blackpool. Like, some of these venues are tight. like there is little space and some serious thoughts need to be given to, oh God, come on. Some serious thought about how you do that, how you widen it and how you make it bigger. I think, and I also think if you are that way inclined, where like as someone has clearly pointed out, like these are your inspirations and heroes. That might be, I like all these lads. I'm a massive darts fan, but that's maybe not the words I would use. There are lots of opportunities throughout the year. They all make themselves pretty available for meet and greets, various different events. Like you have to live in the middle of, and I mean in the middle of nowhere, to not be relatively, able to get to to an event where you can shake hands with players and get a photo and a selfie and meet them and that sort of thing. Like I am not against like fandom and fans of darts because clearly I am one. I'm just not sure whether we need that level of physical interaction immediately on the way to the stage. Like I'm
with you there. And when they're going to play, and this has highlighted it, that let's just say that this injury was more serious than what it looks. Say that ruled Luke out of defending his match play title. Then there's a huge question to answer.
It's also like you, and unfortunately, like again, I feel like I'm being negative and being cynical against darts fans. I'm not. I love darts fans. I am one. It's fucking humans that I have, like it's just general. Like there's loads of dicks about, isn't there? And sometimes someone acts a dick. Like people didn't start whistling until they heard some dickhead whistling, and then you hear some dickhead whistling, and other people start with that's the worry, is that you see other people start taking the piss and grabbing where they shouldn't, and like we've seen it in other sports, and like snooker. Let's be honest, snooker is a far less rowdy environment. But you don't see the players every time they come down, high five everybody on the front row around the table and everything. Like we just get on with it, and it doesn't mean that the fans care less, and it doesn't mean that the players care less about the fans. And it's just like I might be wrong. People might have a different opinion. Clearly, some people do, but like I don't know. I've never. It's never really, and I always consider myself to be a huge darts fan, but I've never been, every time I've met a dart player or been close to one of the really big dart players, I've never really had an overwhelming desire to touch them. I've never thought, how much touch this person? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe someone else does.
Like Rob, we said that, I don't know if you were in, we don't know why players do it, and I think that this may actually put players off doing it. Would it surprise me at the match play if people just walk down and don't interact so much? No, it wouldn't.
There's also a way to interact with the crowd.
Correct. And Jason, that's my point. We're not saying the fans aren't there for a reason, but when the fans have physically injured a player, questions have to be asked. And we've seen the injury. So, and we're seeing it more and more in Euro tours as well, that they're very grabby and so on. I think one pulled Gary back on the last Euro tour or something like that, yanked his arm. We're seeing it more and more, is the thing.
And that is it. And unfortunately, there is an entitlement where, if the players sign 2 autographs and don't sign the third, the bloke who's holding this thing out for the third feels entitled to grab hold of the player and say, "Hey, come on, sign this." Like it just sometimes it's not appropriate or suitable at all. I would just get him on the stage through, I'm all for big walk-ons, as you know. I want fireworks and video reels and zip lines and anything we can get to make it fun and a spectacle. I'd have them parachuting in through an open roof if we could get away with it. I just think I'm not sure we need to do the whole
Jason, that's technically not true. Yes, there was an injury, which I know about, but it was under control, and this idiot has aggressively made it worse than it was when he originally did it by physically forcing it back. Where, chatting to Luke, would it surprise me if it was partly dislocated or something like that? So there was an injury. However, it wasn't as bad as this idiot has done, is the thing. So I'm not having that at all. This bloke was an absolute bellend, putting it simply. But anyway, moving on. Let's do the North American before we play some other clips. Again, thought very, very good. I thought the quarterfinals. Matt Campbell beat Jason Brannan 6-1. Stowe Buntz 6-0 win over Jules van Dongen. Danny Lauby 6-1 winner over an out of sort of Leonard Gates. And then Jim Long beat Adam Savada 6-4. That was a good game. I enjoyed that one. Semi-finals, Matt Campbell 6-2 over Stowe Buntz. Jim Long 6-1 over, again, Danny Lauby ran out of steam almost in that game. And then the final, Matt Campbell, a 6-3 winner over Jim Long. I thought overall, again, the North American was really good. Enjoyed that in the afternoon.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It was. Again, I thought it was interesting to see runs from two players that I wasn't sure whether how well they would do that week, especially that they'd gone, didn't make it through the first round of the World Series event. The fact that they were the two finalists, the two Canadians. I think it's. I mean, let's be honest. It's a massive boost for Campbell, who secures a spot in the Grand Slam.
No, he's not allowed to use it. But we'll come on to that in a minute because he's over 2 years.
Correct. He gets his World Championship spot though.
No, he doesn't get anything, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Oh, that's so. However, so if Jim Long had won, Jim Long would have got the Grand Slam. Jim Long
would have because he's in his first year on tour.
Got ya right. Okay. Well, Matt Campbell might. Yeah, it's almost a bit of pill then, I think, isn't it? Winning that.
Let's play the clip and let's discuss this.
Yeah, honestly, I was last week. I was ready to just pull out of the whole event because it really didn't mean anything. Figured I'd take the time and spend it at home with the family, especially with the PDC schedule that changed. Now it's either do I disappoint my kids in the plans that we had, or do I go play these two Pro Tours? So yeah, there's ups and downs, but such is life.
Now, I didn't use the whole clip, but he actually said he agreed with the rule as well. By the way, he actually said he agreed with it, and I've got to say,
fair enough.
I do as well, and I'll tell you for why. That I get letting the players in their first 2 years on tour and not being in the top 64, but once you're in the top 64 or in your third, fourth, or whatever year on tour, that then gives you another option and another avenue that the rest of the tour card holders don't have to potentially keep your card.
Yeah, of course it does. It's you've got a fair opportunity to qualify for those events as everybody else that's on tour that's held their card like you have. And just because you come from a different country, yeah, I'm not sure that you should get the back door into it. But yeah, when you are developing, use the wrong word there. We can argue about that all month as to what developed means in there. But if you're early in that process, you haven't held your card, you haven't defended your tour card, then I don't think that's a problem.
Interesting one. Do you think Jim should get the spot then? You could argue that, but the rules were already in place that if either Matt Campbell or Leonard Gates for the World Championship spot, because he's already qualified, the rules were already in place that those places revert back. Well, the Grand Slam spot goes to the Continental Cup winner.
Yeah.
And the World Championship spot reverts back to the CDC Order of Merit. So those were already in place.
Which again, like everybody knows where they're at, don't they? The rules are there, so.
Yeah, 100.
And also, I'm still not sure I like the idea of like, I don't know, coming second in an event like that, getting you to the slam.
No,
like I
don't mind what they've done. Is that place goes to the Continental Cup, and the world place goes to the CDC Order of Merit.
At least someone's done something to get there. Then
I'm perfectly good with that. But we've got some clips to play from stuff that happened outside. First of all, let's do this one.
I don't know if it's going to be busy, but I'm going to live by the moment because we all know where I'm coming from, what position I'm in, and I need to make sure I do the right thing for me and my kids, of course. Well, yeah, we're going to see. We all know a really tough period, but I also like to play darts, you know what I mean? So I need to find the right combination of things. We all need to understand. I love playing darts, but I love one thing more, and that's my kids.
It was good to see him back, wasn't it?
It was incredibly good to see him back. You know, I've never been I like the bloke. I think he's decent. He's good to watch. But I've never been an MVG fanboy. You know, I enjoy him when he's at it. I don't think we've seen the best of him for quite some time. I'll be honest with you. Seeing him turn up and average 100 and getting rid of Leonard Gates 6-1, I thought, oh, here we go. Like there was like real signs of life, and even still, like even in that match where he lost to Gezi, like he was still playing. I thought nicer than I've seen him play for quite a while. Even when he's won games and hasn't looked as good as that. I thought the new shirt looked very nice. I'm a big fan of it. I thought it looked. I think it's a much. What's the look? I'm good. More mature, classier look. I thought it looked really well. Yeah, nice to see him back. You know, whilst I'm not a big fanboy, I think him at his top level is good for the tour. It's good for darts in general, and it's a bloody good watch. So yeah, I'm really encouraging to see him in it. And certainly, I think when it's the interviews you had and other conversations you had with him, he seems to be, or certainly appears more positive than we've seen him for some time. He looks like he's up for it. It'd be really interesting to see which version of him turns up in Blackpool.
Yeah, and look, just speaking to him, and then that interview is on our YouTube channel if you want to go and have a watch after this, obviously. That he knows that he wasn't he obviously turns up wanting to win every tournament, but the work he's been putting in, he's expecting to see the fruits of his labour towards the back end of the year. Does that make sense? So he knows it's not going to happen overnight. Does he want to be competitive in everything? 100%, but he knows that's going to take time as well. It's not going to happen overnight. We've seen glimpses. I thought he played very well against Leonard Gates. Against Gezi, there were moments. There was, I think it was 1-2-1 that he smashed it on the ball and so on. That there's glimpses that he is returning, and I've seen enough to go, you know what? I don't think he's a million miles away from getting back to winning titles again. With that work he's put in, the ethic that he knows he's got to do this, he wants to do that, and so on. Would I be surprised if he turns up and has a great run at the match play? No, of course not. But I'm expecting to see more later on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what will be interesting, I think, for him, and I think, and we'll come to this. You know, we can go into loads of detail over the next couple of weeks on it. Is going to be the draw, because he could. I mean, let's be honest. He got about as bad a draw as you can get last year, and he came through it. He did not he got about the worst draw anybody got last year, and he came through it. But there are some very nice draws available, and there are some real shitters. And if he's wanting to, you know, work his way into that game and work that level up and play his way into the tournament, like the draw could be really key to him, I think, when we get to Blackpool.
Yeah, and like someone said there, look, he's had his braces off. He lost some timber. I thought he looked very, very good, and it was interesting to hear him talk about being healthier and so on. That it's like, yeah, I like this, that he's in the process of giving up smoking as well, which can only be a good thing for him long term. So ticking a lot of boxes, and the longevity thing and the process that he's going through looks good. I've got to say that this reinvention of MVG could be the blessing that we all need, and we could have Luke, Gezi, Michael, all
I was
in
going to say, it's not. There'll be a few players in the top 10 that don't think of it as much of a blessing, Phil. There's a few players in there that'll be thinking, "Oh shit!
Yeah.
I thought he was on the way out."
Yeah, I was happy when he was shit.
Yeah, there'll be a few lads in there that were hoping he was going to retire at the end of the year. All of a sudden, they've seen he's got a new shirt out, come back, spring in his step, lost a bit of weight. They'll be thinking, "Oh fucking hell! I thought we were rid of him."
Well, it was interesting that his exact words were, "I've been shit for 2.5 years and I'm still world number 3." That was no.
I think he's quoting us there, Phil. I think that's something we've been saying for some time, and I think it says more about the rest of the darts tour than it does about Michael van Gerwen, if I'm honest.
Right, this is an interesting one. We were the first people to speak to Rob Cross after the news come out, and we'll play the clip. But I've got to say, I thought he answered this brilliantly.
I think. Look, I've got to talk about it to a certain degree. I think it's fair. It's not my proudest moment of my life,
no,
and look, I've done wrong, and I hold my hands up to it. And going down this route, obviously IVA route, to pay the money back means that I'm not running, and I'm going to pay that money back. But I suppose, look, you make mistakes in life. And I'm willing to sort of correct them. It's going to tarnish me, but I'm going to correct them, do the right thing. Headspace, look, this has been going on for 2 years.
Well, when I looked at the dates, obviously,
it's took 2 years to try and get to sort of something of a resolve. It's cost me a load of money, I know I might add that, to get there. Needs to be paid back the money. But at the same time, 2 years. So this isn't like new news for me.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I think 2 years ago I was probably suffering more with it.
Yeah.
At certain times, trying to sort of get everything sorted, getting your eggs into one line, so you know where you're going with it. And I have to admit, it's the only thing what I am happy with now is it is sorted. It's there now, and it's out. And look, I can just sort of carry on working. I can pay it back, and I can move forward.
Did you know it was going to get dropped like the way it was, or were you surprised when it came out?
No, I wasn't surprised. I knew it was going to get dropped. I knew obviously that was coming out. Obviously me personally to blame, no one else around me. But at the same time, I knew it was going to come out. I was probably more surprised that it took the best part of 2 years to come out.
Fast.
So it was a long way, but there was so many complicated things trying to set stuff up.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, they did, as the UK government didn't want me to go bankrupt, which is rightfully so, I know, and I don't think I've needed to. But at the same time, it's just getting a plan in and getting that paid, so it just gives me a bit more time.
I thought he answered it very, very well.
I think, there's a... Sometimes being absolutely bang to rights, it can be quite a freeing exercise, can't it? Because, once you're at the point where, like, everybody knows, like, I think what he must have been going through for 2 years must have been very, very difficult, like, really challenging for him to, like, because it's a lot. And, like, yes, he knows he's fucked up, and he knows he's done, he's, whether he has or he's been badly advised or whatever, like, he knows that he's in the shit. And he's been obviously churning that around, and maybe a circle know, maybe some people around him know. But he must have been, to a degree anxious that was then going to become public knowledge, and he was going to be judged upon it and everything else. And, I think that sometimes being bang to rights can be quite freeing, as it does allow you the opportunity to just get it and go off your chest and go, yeah, fine. Yeah, okay, doke. And I know because he's certainly done the right thing, after the fact, that after it's come out, and he's managed to get something in place to pay it back and do that in a way that's you would hope sustainable, where it's not going to cause him, you know, too dramatic an issue. But yeah, he spoke very well in it. I would like to think that he's had some help with it, and that he's probably rehearsed that quite a few times, because sooner or later he knows he's going to get asked that. You know, he knows that, and as soon as it was in the papers, like, and it's in every paper, he knows that it's only a matter of time before he's sat there and somebody puts a microphone in his hand and asks him for a response there and then. So he's probably done that in the mirror a few times, and good on him if he has, because you know, let's be like, there is a part of society that will feel like they're owed an explanation, or that he owes the world an explanation, because they'll think that the way that he's transgressed has been against the rest of society. And there'll be other people that say it's his fucking business, it's his money, and he doesn't have to say anything. Oh, well, he's in the public eye, so someone's going to stick a microphone in front of him. He did a very good job of it. But again, no, he did the job of a man who's completely banked to rights and knows he's got no other option.
Yeah, I agree. But like you say, he could have gone, look, I'm not speaking about it. But
he could have told you, yeah, 100%. No, he could have told you to piss off. And then what he does is he opens the can of worms of the shitty, you know, bits getting lifted from that interview of him refusing to deal and this, that, and the other. So yeah, I think he's fronted it really well. Like I say, it did have the sound of an answer that's probably been done in the mirror a few times. But like I say, I don't think I don't think that's a bad thing. Because I thought he came at it really well. He's clearly he's not what has genuinely pleased me, and where he's won some favour from me in this situation, is I hoped to God when we first became aware of this, I hoped to God that he wasn't going to do I didn't realise. Like, I really hope that he wasn't going to do I didn't realise. And he hasn't, which is correct. But yeah, like I say, it's tough in it, because when you are in a sport like darts, like, your earnings are very even public. Very public. This is it. This is what we base everything on. We talk constantly about rankings and everything else, and who's going to qualify for this, and it's based entirety on earnings. So and yes, we know there's more, because there's exhibitions and there's merchandise and shirt sales and darts and everything, certainly if you're at that end of the game. But there is a fucking big lump of your salary that you can't hide away. And unfortunately, like, there are loads and loads of ways. This country is very, very, very good at providing wealthy people terrific ways of reducing their tax obligations, or shuffling them around and moving them from place to place. But unfortunately, if you earn a large amount of money and it's very public that you do that, and people can see you won this amount of money here on this date, it's just much harder to try and move that money through mechanisms that will reduce your tax burden.
Good clip from Damo here as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, brilliant. It just, I said to Matt, he rang me and said as well, and I rang him, sorry, and I said, oh, mate, what have you been doing? You're scraping at the bottom of the barrel here and whatever. He's like, no, you've earned your spot and thing. And then, so fair play. I was like, yeah, no, you know what? I've earned my spot here. I've put in the hard yards. I've got myself up in the rankings. And now it's all about staying there and hopefully getting invited to more stuff like this. And, just bring it on with building that fan base as well. That's what it is, getting that fan base over here, getting the darts promoted over here, and then that way the game's going to grow again. Well,
you touched on, obviously, getting up in the rankings and stuff like that. Do you feel this is almost a dress rehearsal for what could be next year if that ranking stays the same?
Yeah, it's all about the confidence here that you get, right? So you put on a good display here, you're going into the tournament, you got the match play coming up. You know what I mean? So this prepares you for that. This is like being out of your comfort zone a little bit, but just a little bit. It's still the same stage, it's still the same playing darts, it's still a crowd, but it's a different crowd. It's a different. It's going to be a different atmosphere and stuff like that. And you're playing obviously the top players in the world. So that's another opportunity that I get to do, play on stage against the top players in the world.
I like the fact that he knows that this is a potential dress rehearsal, that he's in the equation for one of those 8 spots next year at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be. I mean, he's ranked number 9 in the world at the minute. Like, if you weren't thinking about that, then you wouldn't be ambitious, would you? You know, you wouldn't. If that wasn't in the back of your mind, and you weren't thinking that that is an achievable goal for me, then I think you wouldn't really be. You wouldn't be ambitious, like you wouldn't be a professional, you wouldn't sportsman. You know, you want to look for the next level. You want to really kick on. I think that the biggest danger to him is he needs some deep runs on television. You know, last year, like, other than the semi, and this is the problem. See, so he's sitting at spot number 9 in the world, and he's really got that with like 3 quarterfinals from 2023. So match play, the Slam, and the Players Championship finals. He's got 3 quarterfinals. So he's defending most of his money this year. If he doesn't go deep at the back end of the year in a few tournaments, he's going to find himself outside of the top 10, outside of the top 12, and he won't be as close to that conversation, because there will be young, talented, watchable players that are above him in the rankings by then, and that have, I suppose, a more relevance, because they will have gone deeper in tournaments. I really think he needs at least, at the very, very least, a semi-final or 2, probably 2 semi-finals this year to really put him in, because other players will. Like, we are going to see players in that top 10 break through to quarterfinals and semi-finals, and with him defending about 60, 70, 65%-ish of his money this year, he just runs the risk of almost, when I say peaking too early, but like right now, I think you'd put him in. He's sort of there. He's right on the cusp of being a Premier League player, but it's a long time to February. There's a lot of darts between here and then. And
so right now, he's provisionally world 13.
Yeah.
That's with everything taken off.
Yeah.
And the first rounds that he's qualified in. So he's in the match play, the World Grand Prix.
He's in everything, isn't he? Yeah.
European Championships, not in the Slam yet, but Players Championship and Minehead. And that puts him on 365. So he's only 24.5 grand off of 6th. So it's more than doable.
Yeah, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Like, I think we could see him right up the top of the rankings and piss through into the Premier League, you know. But I think that we need to see. I think he's going to need 2 semi-finals between now and February next year, because I think those are the players that are, you know, in the rankings, if you like, that are around him in terms of the live rankings with all the money took off. You know, Josh Rock sits above him at the minute. Martin Schindler sits above him at the minute. Ross Smith sits above him at the minute. Johnny Clayton is a mile ahead at the minute. And all of those players are going to be in that mix, because let's be honest, there are only a finite number of spots that are even up for discussion, because 4 are done with the top 4. Like, that's taken care of. So you've only got 4 spots left. And I've just rattled off, I think, 5 names of players that will be above him in the rankings that we think will go deep in a few tournaments. So I think it's going to be a challenge for him. But I think 2 semi-finals gets him there, and he's there.
I'm
not only that, but I think he's a good addition for it. Like, I think he would be a really good addition to a Premier League lineup. It's a bit different, isn't it? Something a bit different. And it's a fresh face. And it's a fresh face that can compete. And I also don't think that if he doesn't perform to the level that he can, I don't think it'll do him a lot of harm. I think he's pretty robust. I think he's quite resilient. I think he's quite mature.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's quite tough. He's tough.
Yeah, and I think that, which is why I think you could roll the dice on him, because I think if he did end up becoming or getting battered, I think he would still embrace the process, look at it as a learning experience, be thankful that he got there. Like, I think he's that sort of a bloke.
Yeah. Paula is in. I hope you are good, Paula. Are you sunning yourself anywhere nice at the moment?
Middlesbrough.
Right, let's do this one.
Mate, crazy. Obviously, I think it was Gezi didn't turn up at the same time, didn't sit next to each other, but I'm pretty sure I've seen Luke's interview before.
Yeah.
Just do our own thing. We don't need to. Well, for myself, I don't want to go to the venue 4.5 hours before. That's what Luke does. That's how much time he needs. And for myself, I only need 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, we didn't click. But I'm sure we'll be back again.
Yeah, Luke said exactly. He said, look, we're different people. We don't need to arrive at the same time. It was a team decision made that, look, we'll do our own thing. And like you say, Gezi said you weren't a team. And just the flack that you two got on social media for losing one game, was it a complete overreaction?
Yeah, obviously, Germany, they played 2 group games. So obviously they were ready. But for myself, I was totally new stage, totally new atmosphere. We knew what was coming. But yeah, it didn't happen. But let's hope they move venues next year.
But you see, he'd be up for my suggestion. The World Cup in the theatre at Madison Square Garden. Like, it's a fucking perfect solution. The perfect one. That or somewhere in Teesside, so that I can go to so that I can get a bus to an event. That'd be great. Like, if we can somewhere that I can get an Uber to, or again. Like, that's Luke on board as well. I'm going to start a campaign. We're going to Madison Square Garden.
Paula, yes, I did go to the wonderful Cat's Deli and had the best sandwich in the world. Don't get me wrong, it was like $35, but it was worth every single penny of it. It was like that.
Mere pittance to a man like you, Philip. Mere pittance.
It was Cat's Deli is incredible. Yeah, but I like Luke's honesty in there. Nathan Aspinall.
Yeah, look, just heading into the rest of the season, what are the expectations for Nathan Aspinall?
I'm not expecting anything from myself. I'm just what I'll continue to do what I'm doing. I'm enjoying my darts, which is something I've not said for a long, long time. The last few years I've just gone through the motions. At times I enjoy it, but then I get a bit fed up, and then an injury will happen or a dartitis will get bad. Whereas now everything's just great, and I can actually play darts and enjoy it pain-free. And I'm loving touring at the moment. I'm missing being at home, but I'm loving being away, seeing all these amazing places. So, yeah, no expectations. Just continue to enjoy playing. And if you're enjoying it and you're happy, the darts will take care of itself. You know what I mean? And I know that when I'm happy and in a good mood, my darts speak for themselves. So, no expectations. I just want to make sure that I'm in a position next year to be in everything again. The World Series invites, obviously the Premier League and all that kind of stuff. I know what I've got to do. The match play money's coming off, but I put a big dent in that with obviously the European Tour this year. I know what I'm capable of, and yeah, I'm not expecting anything, but I do think I'll win another major this year.
He said it.
He said it. I mean, let's be honest, right? Nathan Aspinall's made a fool of many a pundit, predicted, bookmaker, everything else this year, because every time somebody's thought it's he's not quite at it, it's not quite there, or he's not going to be able to pull it off, then he does, and he goes and does something amazing. He does something superb and brilliant, and he was absolutely gorgeous to watch this week. Averages of 104.68, 108.89, even 102 in the semi-finals. He was properly on it, and that game is in there. And we've said it quite recently, even a few times on fallout bars after the Premier League and things like that, where we know he's got that game in there. We keep seeing glimpses of it. What he hasn't been able to do is repeat that game, 3 times over the course of a weekend, 3 times over the course of a week. And I think looking at takeaways from the US Darts Masters, I think the biggest positive, the biggest takeaway, the player that benefited the most from making that trip will have been Nathan Aspinall, because he knows that is a huge chunk of money coming off his ranking. If he does, and I hope he doesn't, but if he does bomb out in the first round of the match play, then he is going to plummet from he's 6th, 7th in the world at the minute to the 20. Yeah. He's flying out because he's carrying so much money into the match play. But to be able to put 3 games together on the spin like that in the company that he was in, this close to travelling to Blackpool, I think he'll take more away from that trip than anybody else.
Oh,
Really.
I agree. And it was the scoring. It was vintage where, look, the Luke game, Luke missed doubles, but Aspinall, that gritty side of him just didn't go away, and he knows how to win games. Was he lucky to be 4-all? Maybe, yeah. But then in leg 9, he finds that break and then throws to see it out. He just knows how to do it when it really, really matters. And look, I'm excited to see this version of Nathan Aspinall. Right, overall, North America. What is the next step? Because Peter and Anthony teased some stuff on the Lounge Line, on the Live Lounge Live. Look, there is obviously conversations being had of the expansion in North America. That's one of those.
There's got to be, haven't there? You'd be worried if there wasn't.
100%.
It's got to be.
I think it's interesting where we go next. And I know, I know we said it and so on, that could we call it the North American Tour, where effectively the European Tour is replicated in North America? I understand financially that is a big burden. I understand that due to costs in America, travel costs and everything and so on. But that could be the next thing.
I can't. I think you've got to come up with. I still think. I think the most logical thing, the thing that makes the most sense, is to move the World Cup over. I think that makes the most sense. I'm not so sure whether moving, Pro Tour, like the equivalent of doing a Euro Tour over there is right. I just think you'd get a lot of kickback. I think you get a lot of people moaning about travel and money more than anything else, money, because it's fucking expensive. I think
you say that. I get it is, but my return flight to New York was only 175 quid more than my return flight for the World Cup.
Yeah. Yes, I'll give you that. However, if you weren't willing to pay that, you could have gone on the ferry and drove, and you can't do that to New York City or Boston or somewhere else.
No, I get that.
You can't get the ferry over, or you could, but it'd take you a fucking week and a half. So I think. But I massively think we've got to do more. There has to be more there. Like it's the biggest growth market at the minute for everything. Never mind just darts, and there's definitely opportunities there. I'm just not sure that it's quite ready for that yet. I don't know if we need something else. I don't know if we need to bring something back from the past. I don't know whether to relaunch an old tournament, dust something off. We've rehashed the Masters again. I don't know whether we have to rehash something, reinvent something, and stick a North American in front of it and do it over there. I'm just not. I don't know. I don't know if it's feasible or doable.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Where is it?
Great to watch.
Always a pleasure to have Mason. Mason's going New York, Boston, and one in Canada. I could do 3 weeks in North America. I'm up for that.
Yeah, but that is then the challenge, isn't it? Because we've had people, we've had people pissing and moaning that it's hard to get to Milton Keynes, Phil. It's like people are moaning that people are moaning first round losers money, and I'm having to travel to Milton Keynes and stay in the Premier Inn, and it's broken me financially. So the idea of a multi-sited series of events in North America that forms part of the tour, I think is some way off. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to get there. I don't think we're there yet. Again, I think I'm not sure you have I'm not sure you have the greater good of the game in mind if you are looking at ways to again take the very top of your tour on sightseeing tours to cities of the world when your bottom 64 are working night shifts to try and get to Barnsley.
Anthony just sent me the picture. He has got a mountain of Chinese. Good.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen that Chinese, and it is ridiculous. I tell you what, I've also seen the order, and it's a fine order as well. Like, I approve of, there's nothing worse. It really pisses me off. When someone tells you that they've ordered a Chinese, and then oh yeah, what did you get? And they'll say, oh well, I got like chips, rice, chicken balls. Like, you've got chicken nuggets and chips, mate. It's what you've got. You've not got a Chinese. You haven't got a Chinese. You got chicken nuggets. Whereas that's a proper Chinese order. There are actual Chinese. There's actual Chinese food on it.
The draw for Poland is Thursday, I believe, buddy. How are we doing, Johnny? Good to have you in. Henry is in. How are we doing, H? Hope you are good.
Hello, mate.
Henry, they might move the calendar around, but my guess is that the US Darts Masters will clash with the World Cup at some point. Would be my guess. Whilst we're on the World Cup, there's a good question here as well. Considering the PDC have brought the World Series to various countries, do you think more investment in Asia is needed? Maybe China, Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, way bigger Asia than the US. I think there's a lot of variance to that. Look, is Asia a massive market? Yeah, 100%. But at the moment, they don't have like TV deals and so on like they do in North America. So do I think the PDC will go back to Asia and try and make it bigger and better? Yes, 100%. We've seen that with the talent coming through of the World Cup. Like we spoke about Hong Kong. We look at the numbers on the Asian tour and so on. I just think it's a little bit difficult, or more difficult to do it in Asia, I think, at the moment.
It's definitely more difficult, and I'm trying to find the kindest way to put it. They ain't going to get me. I'm getting enough trouble on here. Whilst there is, without a shadow of a doubt, a cultural the culture that allows people, as it does with snooker, to become very, very talented and focus a lot and be very, very good at the sport. There is a cultural difference in the way that sport is consumed in that country. And the way that we are used to watching darts and people experiencing darts live in this country translates far easier culturally to North America than it does to Asia. Like there are different, and it's just that there is a different way of doing things. I've watched quite a lot. Again, because I'm a weirdo and I watch obscure sports. Like I don't even know if I'd admitted this publicly, but I used to find sumo wrestling quite interesting. You'd see like tournaments of sumo and other things that they have in Japan, for example. Like culturally, they will watch it in silence. Like they will literally sit silent, like hands on their knees, and watch the sport. And it's so different to then impart what we know darts to be into that culture and have people, then start to, or you've almost got to teach them to enjoy darts. Whereas in North America, you can almost sell the party before the sport in terms of its as a live sport. It's a bit different to sell it as something you can consume on TV, but that's where you've got to hope for, good production, good commentary, all the other things that bring people in. But it's a far easier sell. And again, let's be really honest. We are spoilt often for talented people who can present you darts in a way that will excite you. We've got great commentators, great presenters. Unfortunately, the majority of them, whilst I think some of them might, slip into Welsh occasionally, the majority of them are English speakers, and you haven't got that talent pool that exists speaking a different language, and you've got to then build that, because that all forms part of how that package is presented to an audience. Whereas where you're going into an English speaking market, when you're going into North America, when you're going into Canada, even, to be honest, when you go in towards parts of the Middle East, where English is the predominantly spoken language now, and everybody understands English, that you can translate that with the talented people that we've got. Very, very different going into the mainstream in China, Japan, etc.
Yeah, no, 100%. So yeah, look, would we love more in Asia? Yes, but they need to get it right, because that's part of the reason why we haven't been back, because they're still trying to work out that formula. Will they get it right? Yes, 100%. But just need a bit of time. One sad note before we talk about the seniors. Obviously, it was announced, sadly, that Robert Thornton's beautiful wife, Christine, sadly passed away last week. All of our thoughts go to Robert and his family. Christine was his rock. We've seen Robert talk so openly that when he was struggling, when he needed something, she was the one that got him back, refound Robert Thornton, that in his PDC glory days when he was winning titles, she was there front and center, didn't miss it. His absolute rock, and our hearts go out and our condolences to Robert and his family at this really sad time.
Yeah, it's I was lucky enough to meet her a couple of times, and what I would say is it's so I'll tell you what, the first time I ever came to a seniors event as somebody who was a member of the media rather than someone who's just gone to watch the darts, she was the first person that spoke to me outside, and like spoke to me throughout the day, and I just thought, it's a very special type of person that does that, who will, come and make conversation with a large 6 foot skinhead and have a chat with him and make them feel at ease, like make them. But yeah, really, really, really sad news. I remember the times that I've spoken to Robert after he's played, the thing that he generally talks about straight away was his wife. That was the first thing he would come off the stage after playing darts, and the first thing he would talk about would be his wife. Just very, very sad. And like you say, all of our best wishes go to him and the rest of the family as well.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, that was the reason why he didn't play in the Champion of Champions, which was in Portsmouth. The actual event, I'm not going to lie, I haven't seen any of it because I was flying home at the time. I've watched some of the highlights and so on. And Ross Montgomery goes back to back, adds Champion of Champions to his World Championship that he won, and the boss looked good.
He's having some year, isn't he, Phil? He really he at the minute he enters something and he wins it. He's and I tell you what, he looked good doing it as well. He didn't limp his way through. He did come up against some game performances. He didn't have it all his own way. He had to fight back from behind. For where Richie Howson got off early with a 3-0 lead, and he had to dig in. We talked about it a few times. I miss the fact that it wasn't what I think what maybe a lot of people might have wanted. I think a lot of us wanted to see a bigger event, easier for lots of us to get to on a more grandiose scale. But it was what it was, and the darts was watchable. There was some shocks in there, like across the tournament. There was a few shocks. I was very pleased to see Trina get a win. Wins on the World Seniors stage have been hard to come by for Trina. But I think once again we've had underwhelming. I think we talked a lot when the tour card holders that have arrived this year, lost their tour card. I don't think we've ever talked about anybody coming to World Seniors more than we've talked about Simon Whitlock. He's played 2, lost 2 so far. Really hasn't taken to it at all at the minute. I mentioned Trina picking up that win, but I don't think anybody picked it. I don't think you could. Again, I think it was a challenging one to get a bet on. I'm not sure you could find a bookie that would take your money betting against Steve Beaton in that opening game.
Oh no, Steve would have been a huge favourite.
It was monster again. Even in terms of because I think Steve was either second or maybe third in the overall betting. But yeah, I expected a bit more from Simon. Merv. I mean, he beat Kev Painter, but we know Kev's got his own struggles at the minute. He's not the dart player that he was, and yeah, it did look a little bit familiar. Certainly, if we looked at the World Championships, yeah, granted we had Raymond van Barneveld there, but we had a couple of players in there who had a decent run and a decent showing at the Tavern early in the year in Ross, and also in Richie Burnett as well, who had a semi-final earlier in the year. He's had another semi-final there. So, the seniors is doing well for Richie, but we know Richie's still active. He's still playing a lot at a good level. He did well, Ross. I think that's 3 finals on the spin, champion of champions for Richie Howson.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I think beat by Leonard Gates, Blackpool, and then won last year. So Richie's still turning up a performance. But yeah, I think the big guns, what we would have thought the big ticket sellers, didn't really do the business. I think those that would have brought people to the show and got people tuning in. I think Barney is I suppose he's an entity all of his own in that situation, isn't he? Whether we'll see more of it, I don't know. I'm not against seeing more of it. I'd like.
We've got the match play, haven't we, in Epsom coming up in November?
Oh, well, I was more meaning tour card holders.
Oh, well, so someone asked why Barney was playing. So Barney asked.
Someone said yes.
Barney asked permission to play in this event, and permission was granted. Look, it is new, but it's not. We've seen it happen before. The tour card holders have been able to play in stream events before that have asked, and Raymond asked, and he said yes. Basically, the PDC said yes. Does that set a precedent that we may see some more? Yeah, I think it does. I think that the fact that the question has been asked will free up more to ask. I think beforehand some may be going, "Oh, well, shall I ask?" Or I don't know. The fact that someone has now asked and it has now been done.
It makes the fact that we have got the announcement of both the date and a venue for the next World Seniors event interesting, doesn't it? Because we could see any bugger there, couldn't we? If this is the rule, if this is the new rule. Now, granted, there is a clash with the Grand Slam again, but I think there's going to be plenty of tour card holders over 45 that aren't at the Grand Slam.
Yeah, and look, the crash, the way the darts calendar, forget PDC, just the way the darts calendar is across the board, there's always going to be clashes. That you can't find weekends where something doesn't clash with something. This doesn't clash with this, that doesn't clash with that. That's just the nature of the sport. That's always going to be there now.
The clash with the Grand Slam isn't a disaster for me, because it means that you'll go to the Grand Slam and I'll go and cover the seniors instead.
Yeah, it is the thing. It's one of those, isn't it? So I think it's good. I thought that it's the trade-off, isn't it? That I know people were were moaning, oh, it's at the Super Series venue, but the production was incredible because we know it's built in. It's the studios there. It's all set up. So from a production point of view, that was by far and the best seniors event we've had. We know that.
Yeah, and that's the difference, and it's, I suppose, for those that are making the decisions, it's what they want that to then be. Obviously, when we're not there again for the match play, we're going to go to Epsom Racecourse, so we'll see what the production looks like for that, where that ends up, being sent to, and it'll be interesting though. Interesting to see, especially if we can get few more names to it. Let's see what we can, I'm not, my hope hasn't died yet. I still think it could be resurrected a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. It'll be interesting. But look, congratulations to Ross Montgomery going back to back, and we may have a new force in seniors darts. It's gone around in little circles, hasn't it? First of all, it was Robert Thornton, Leonard Gates, John Henderson. Is it now time for the boss, Ross Montgomery?
He's certainly had a solid year, and at the minute, we've had 2 tournaments in a row where the big names that everybody expected to come and tear it up simply haven't. So it's to be. I suppose you don't know what how much they're playing off that scene. How much competitive darts are they all getting at the minute? But it will be interesting to see what happens come the match play.
Yeah, Will is in. I hope you got home all right, buddy. Again, massive thank you to Will. He produced the Lands Live from McHale's in Madison Square Garden for us. And again, a massive success that was. It was superb. With some great guests, some great content that's available to go and watch back as well from McHale's great venue. It was good.
I watched it. It was very good. I didn't watch it live. It wasn't suitable, but I have watched it. It was very good. Enjoyed it. Some interesting chats with some interesting lads. So definitely worth a view.
Yeah, 100%. It was very, very good indeed. Excuse me. Poland, obviously, we haven't got the draw yet for that. However, next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, make sure you are subscribed because there are only 2 events left, Dan, for the World Match Play.
It's exciting. I am already excited about the match play. I get giddy with excitement every year. I've took a full week off work, which for anyone that knows me knows that's like it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Like I've had to try and explain to the wife and kids that like I have taken a week off work in the summer holidays this year for the first time in I think 7 years, and I'll not be spending it with any of them because I'm going to Blackpool to watch the darts. So that's been a tough conversation, but yeah, very, very exciting. We're very, very close in terms of deciding who gets to go. I have said for the last few weeks that it is done, and that both Michael Smith, Christoph Ratajski, Richie Edhouse, et al. And below are all Donald ducked. But I'm sticking with it as well. It's done, and it's been done for weeks. It's not changing. It just isn't, I'm afraid. As much as I do think that the match play would be a better tournament with Michael Smith in it. I'm not going to tell you who I'd rather see out of it, but I do think it would be a better tournament with Michael Smith in it. But I just cannot see a scenario at the minute where with only 2 Pro Tours and the very limited amount of money that is on offer, if you don't go and get to the final or win it, I think he's too far. I think he's too far away, I'm afraid.
No, Adam, no, there is a Euro Tour. Obviously, Macy's commentating in Kiel, but that isn't part of the qualifying criteria.
What off is the
10th tournament?
10th of July.
10th of, say, it is these 2 Pro Tours coming up. I've said from day one, Michael Smith would make it.
And I've said you're wrong.
I've been adamant he will make it. And you know what?
You're sticking with it.
I'm sticking with it.
Good on you,
Michael
mate.
Smith will somehow make it.
Wrong, haven't they?
I don't know how.
I can't wait, mate. I can't wait. We're going to. It's going to be. I think it looks. I genuinely think this year, when you look at the 2 sides, those 2 sets of 16 players, I think it has the potential for what I think is probably or could be. It all depends on who gets drawn against who. I think it could be the best set of first round games we've seen for a very long time.
Well, I'm interested to see who goes to this Pro Tour because already the list is not out yet, but Littler and Humphries will not be there.
Well, yeah, of course not. If Josh Rock goes, he's a madman.
Well, this is my point.
If Josh Rock goes there, he's a lunatic.
Well, I get you could draw Luke Humphries in round 1. However, the odds are on your side.
Yeah, you got a 16 to 1 chance.
Where if you catch Danny Noppert, you're probably guaranteed to run into Luke Humphries in round 2.
Yeah. Don't do that. Yeah. So if I were advising Josh Rock,
have a week off, son.
I'd suggest that he takes it easy, relax, enjoy going into that open draw. Because I tell you what, as well, there are there are certainly some draws. If he comes through as a Pro Tour qualifier, there are players that he could be drawn up against where he'll go off as the favourite, and where he doesn't go off as the bookies' favourite, there'll be lots of people in the know, in darts, who know about Josh Rock, who will be saying that's winnable. He can get through that. And I just think I think if I was his advisors, I'd be telling him to sit it out and stop at home for that one.
Oh, this isn't good. One of our followers on Twitch. Where are you going on holiday? Surely you can
through the match place. I can't watch it due to the time difference. I have to sort of watch
Japan.
That's a naughty time difference as well, isn't it? Well, that's a shame. I mean, I can only offer my deepest condolences. We'll be there. Well, I'm also gonna so we won't have a live lounge on the Monday, of course, because me and Phil are going to be in Blackpool, so there will be no live lounge. But we are gonna, I don't know if Phil might come. He might. I'm going to have a live lounge meet up for anyone that's in Blackpool that weekend and wants to come and have a chat. Because people, I do honestly, the best thing about going to these things is I see people all the time. I bump into people I only know through the chat room. I'm going to do 2 on the same day, on the Monday, because it's live lounge day, but I have to accommodate people who have different tastes and different hobbies. So in the afternoon, I'm going to sit somewhere and have a coffee. If you want to come and have a coffee, go and have a coffee. And then after the darts, I'll have a beer. And if you're the sort of person that likes to have beer or other tipples, then we'll do that. So there will be something on the Monday for those of you in Blackpool. We aren't robbing you completely of content and banter. You'll just have to get off your ass and come and join us.
I can't wait for the match play now. We can see Blackpool Tower twinkling.
It's exciting. Honestly, it gets me quite excited. I've even been sorting out as I've been a busy little boy this week. I've been working out where I'm going to stay, and then working out which gym, because the gyms are a chew on, because the gym I use has got one over there, but it's not quite close enough to Blackpool, and I'm working out which hotels have got a decent. If I'm going to have a drink, I need a sauna in there. So I've been doing some proper prep this week. I've been planning some strategy.
Rob says, live stream doing a donkey ride.
Mate, if it gets the clicks, don't put it past. But it is going to be. I think we're looking forward to it, because you might all see some. I don't know. Not. I'm not going to say better. You might see some slightly different types of content coming out from Blackpool that week, because just having 2 of us there is like an extra hand, an extra pair of hands, an extra laptop, an extra somebody to hold something while someone else does something. So yeah, we're going to see what we can come up with to keep you all. And
also, Dan will have access to all live platforms, whether that be TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
Again, it's Dan being in charge of things that he doesn't quite understand. Like, I still haven't got, I mean, I just think I'm a middle-aged man with 3 kids, and I don't have Instagram, TikTok, Kick, all these things. I have access to the online darts version of them. But it's gonna be fun. Right, we can't wait. Blackpool's ace. We're gonna see some people. I will have the family over at some point. I think Anna and the kids are gonna come up and see a few people. And it's Billy's birthday. So it's Billy's birthday that week. So I'm gonna have to call in a few favors from people who can give him a little bit of a Do you know, after all of the digs that I had at people earlier on for high-fiving players, like I could do with a couple of players giving Billy a high five on his birthday, giving him a thumbs up and a high five. So yeah, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, Dan is coming to Blackpool with me, so there'll be 2 of us there indeed, which will be nice. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good. Look, Blackpool is just the best tournament.
And if you think another tournament is better, you're wrong, because it's just not. I'm afraid.
I've kept a clip back because we're going to play this now because this could be incredible. And I didn't realise this till the other day. We're going to play a bit from Stowe Buntz.
Ooh. That would be awesome, just for us to all qualify, like we are qualified, all 3 of us right now for Budapest. I'm definitely not going to go. I'm going to see if I can work it out to where both my kids can go. I have some other friends that are going. Yes, but right now I don't do hardly any of the WDF events unless it's local stuff, just for me to get out for the weekend and throw some darts. All my eggs are in the CDC PDC basket, so which takes up a lot of my time off of work and a lot of financial responsibility, and so that's my current focus, and that's where I'm going to continue to stay at.
Well, just on, obviously, I love this family dynamic and family relationship that is going on. Look, your son's a tour card holder. Can we see your daughter going for that route in the CDC as well? Is she at that level yet?
She is. She just hasn't had the opportunity with some of her other prior engagements with sports that she plays. But now that she's committed to darts, I think she's going to go for her tour card next year as well.
So we could have 3 Buntzes in a CDC semi-final or something like that.
That could definitely happen.
Would that be one of your proudest moments, regardless of the results? It's like all 3 of you competing.
For sure. I just like when my son got it, I cried. I'd probably cry if my daughter got hers. So.
No, cool.
3 version of the Buntz family would be incredible. I knew his son had his tour card, but I didn't realise his daughter obviously played to a good level. She's qualified for the WDF Masters as well, which would be, I think that would be incredible scenes.
Yeah, it sounds mega, doesn't it? It's just very cool, and what's nice, like it's nice to see anyone like enjoy and take pride in what their kids are doing and their kids following and getting into darts, and yeah, very cool. Nice story. And
yeah, I like that. It's a really good. Stowe's a really good guy. I like that.
Again, it'd be lovely to see them. I mean, let's be honest, we like to manifest chaos, don't we? It'd be cracking to see them play each other.
Semi-final, Stowe against his daughter. Could you imagine?
No, I want to see the 2 kids play each other and him in the audience. I want to see you stick a microphone in front of him saying who's going to win.
Would you sit there and stream it live as he goes through all the?
Yeah, events? That's what I want. I want him to say that's the sort of chaos I'm here for. That's what I want. Yeah. Parental sympathy, none from me, thanks.
Dal, a few people have mentioned this today. Like I say, I didn't see any of it, but yeah, look, it's not nice to see someone going through that. We've seen Jules, Barry Van Peer over the time as well. That it's not a great thing, is it? That young Daniel Stevenson as well. No, was it Daniel Stevenson? Maybe no, it wasn't. It was. Oh, what was his name? Harry Gregory went through it as well. That look, it's not nice, especially the youngsters that haven't had their career yet either. Like, look, we've seen Kevin Payton struggle with it and so on in recent terms, but Kevin, although it's not nice, will look back at the fabulous career he's had.
The career he's had, yeah. And
these youngsters haven't had the opportunity to have that career yet.
It is also, and I think it's just something that, you can't help but feel in that it's harder to watch a kid go through it, isn't it? Because it just is. Like, you just feel like it's different, I think, to a degree when like you say, when someone has had their career, and yes, obviously it's tough to watch and you feel for them, but I think it's different when it's a kid, because you think, fucking hell, like how you haven't even got to enjoy the game yet. You haven't got to experience all the good stuff it can offer, or as much of the good stuff as you should be able to get from the talent you've got. So yeah, it's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a nice thing, unfortunately. Like you say, it's one of those ones where it's like, again, there's no right or wrong answer. There's no instant recovery, as we spoke about earlier. It's certain players have managed to get over it, and some haven't. We saw Mensur Suljovic, and his throw looks unrecognisable before when he first started playing and so on. But yeah. But again, Bo had it really bad as well, Paul. Yeah, and again, she's found a way to come through it and have a coping mechanism. Oh, Marcus, that's a very good shout, and I'd forgotten about that. After we've spoken about, where are these going to be on Dart Connect?
Are we talking about generational darts families again?
Archived. It was here we go. It was the first weekend for the new ADA. Obviously, we had the guys on speaking about the new tour and so on, and that was this weekend. And Raymond Smith doing what Raymond Smith promised us he would do. And look, in event one, he wins the final, averaging a shade under 96. He's averaged 94, 90, 92, 97. This is the Raymond Smith that we've been craving, Dan.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, like he did tell us, didn't he? He did warn us that this was, he was coming and he was going to give it. He had a plan and he knew where he was going with it, and we said, all right, okay, and you have to take some of that with a pinch of salt. But the next time he's had an opportunity to come and show us, where he's at, where his game is at, he has battered his way through, and there's some good talent in there. Like it's positive. When we are looking at, you look at the quarterfinals and you look at the averages that we're seeing, and we are seeing, mid-80s averages. We're seeing Ben Robb post 90 averages. Like, we're seeing good performances. It's not just Raymond Smith being the only decent dart player that's turned up. He's winning the games that are in front of him, but he's coming through some tough games. There's certainly the final of the third one, Ben Robb played great. I think it's really positive. Really positive. We had the lads on the other week, didn't we, to tell us about it? And what we're seeing, if I'm honest with you, has exceeded my expectations. Like, I didn't think, and again, I'm not just talking. We know Raymond can play, but what I have seen from those tournaments, the level of dart competition that we've seen, I think it's really good. And I think if we keep seeing them, and we see more and more of that level of darts will continue to go up as well, which is what we want.
Yeah. Yes, Big Johnny. He has. He's already said he's going to take Lakeside because this is part of his plan and so on.
Yep.
But it's just good to see him back.
There's a plan.
Winning. And after he joined us a couple of weeks ago, I spoke to Raymond. We had a little bit of chat, and when he's over in the UK, if we can make it happen, he is coming to the studio.
Mega.
Yes. He is coming to the studio. So fingers crossed we can make that work, which will be good. Johnny, I saw the post on Facebook. I'm not getting involved. Look, yes, the quality looks horrific, and I hope that social media pressure means they refund it. But to be fair, I couldn't give a fuck about making ockies, if I'm being honest. It's not my thing.
Some made a shit hockey somewhere.
Correct, yeah. It's not my thing. Making ockies, if I'm being honest.
I'm not much of a social media guy. I don't know if it's on there. Like, what I rely on the other members of the online darts team to have social media and WhatsApp.
In the WhatsApp group for you.
Like, what they do is, like, I have social media. I have a Facebook account. I just don't fucking use it very much. So yeah, if there's anything juicy out there, I very much rely on somebody screenshotting it and sending it to me. Otherwise,
have we missed anything in a week of darts, or shall we open up question time?
I think we should.
We haven't done a good 10-minute question time for a while, have we? Where we've just.
Are you joking? I did 40 minutes of it last week because I ran out of shit to talk about. I was hosting this on my own. It was question time all night.
That's great.
Don't stop. Get your questions in, folks.
MVG can make hockeys in New York. As it stands, who are your favourites? I think there'll only be two changes. As it stands, there'll only be two changes to next year's Premier League lineup. Rob Cross, Chris Dobie departing, coming in Josh Rock and Johnny Clayton for me at the moment.
As boring as it is, and it's very rare that I can say this, I think I'm probably in exactly the same position at the moment. I do think, though, a week before the match play is probably the worst time of the entire year to ask me who should be in the Premier League next year. Because as far as I'm concerned, this is the furthest away from the Premier League that anybody can be. Because we're on the cusp of a massive swing in terms of rankings, because someone's going to pick up a shitload of money and some other people are going to lose a load of money. So it's all going to get topsy-turvy, and then we've got a rapid race through a few months of TV trophies. So yeah, I think it's
that's what I'm saying. If you're asking me now, that's what I pick.
Yeah. I agree. I say right now today, if someone said where's your 8, I'd say that. But I think it's tight, and I think it's about the worst time of year to ask. I think at the minute.
Well, just looking at it, I don't see. Like, I think Johnny Clayton is playing well at the moment, and I'm not saying he wins TV tournaments, but I think he goes deep in a lot of TV tournaments this year because he's in everything. He has qualified.
He'll just create. He's got enough opportunities to do something, hasn't he?
Correct. And he could catch Bunting as world number 4 and be in automatically, or even if they stay the way they are, Bunting 4, Clayton 5, you can't leave Johnny out of world number 5.
He could catch Michael at world number 3 if he's not careful. Before the end of the year.
Yeah, 100%. So Aspinall's ranking will change. It will, but I think Aspinall could be ranked number 20, and I still think he's going to get the call because
providing he doesn't win the match play, of course, in which case he doesn't lose any money off his ranking.
Yeah, 100%.
He'll go up actually because prize money's gone up on it.
Is the UK and Ireland World qualifiers only for players outside the top 64? The honest answer is, James, I don't know. I will try and find out for next time we stream. I don't know if it's outside the top 64 or not, but I will try and find out. Is it confirmed that Gez is in the Pro Tours? Not yet. We haven't had the entry list, but I would expect Gezi to be in them.
Yeah, we've not seen it yet, have we? We won't. It's only the 30th, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah.
Is it the 8th and 9th Pro Tour events?
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday. Connor, I don't know who's going to win the match play until we see the draw. It's too hard to say until we see who goes.
We'll talk loads about it once we see the draw, though.
Yeah, well, once we know what the draw. Warren, no, it wasn't. He was on about the CDC going against the JDC, not the ADC. He was on about putting the juniors up against the CDC and like a clash of promotions type thing.
He's corrected him. Yeah, he's corrected himself on the way.
Which would have been hasn't. No, they were talking about. I like the idea. To be fair, I thought it was good. Ross Smith make it in next year. If you're talking about the Premier League, no. Look, I love Ross Smith to bits, but right now he hasn't done enough to knock out.
He's got to win something between now and then.
Yeah, right now he hasn't done enough for me. So that'll be interesting. Will Dan be going to Pop World in Blackpool? This is the thing the fans want to know.
2 questions. Does it have a licensed bar?
Yes.
Is it within 3 miles of the Winter Gardens?
It's within 250 yards of the Winter Gardens.
Well, then I shall be there over the course of 9 days then, because I don't think there'll be any stuff. I am an old hand at Blackpool now. You know, there's although Pop World has not been my it hasn't been my, sort of my where I've done some of my best work in Blackpool. I don't mind a bit of pop world. I can deal with a bit of that. What we do have to have a little think about, Philip, is the first night, the Saturday. Our friend in the chat room, Mr. Mason, might be able to give us some advice on this. The Saturday is the first day of the darts is the same day, and it will be after the darts. So this takes place that Usyk and Dubois are fighting. We need to find a screen somewhere to watch that on.
Oh, there'll be loads in Blackpool that have that on.
Yeah, there better be. Let's hope so. One with a decent bar.
There'll be loads that'll have that on. But to be fair, by the time we get out of the thing, the Usyk would have probably knocked him out.
Oh, I'm not so sure. Not so sure, lad.
Oh, Usyk chins him.
We'll preview that with the match play. Well, that can be the after hours. We might do an extra 15 minutes one before that on the last show.
No, I'm not going to Poland, but we will be streaming it like we did Copenhagen, apart from I'm available both days. So Friday and Saturday, we will be live streaming from about the Polish Darts Masters. Basically, the fact it's like 4 days after getting back from New York with pretty much the same lineup, I was just like, I can't be asked. I got all the juicy stuff from New York that we wanted to get.
Yeah, we're not going to expect anything revolutionary being said, is there? Certainly with the same group of lads.
No, exactly that. So that is your answer to that one. Like we say, plenty coming up. So make sure if you haven't yet, make sure you like and subscribe as always, folks. Plenty going on, which will be good. The format for the Premier League, Bob, is due to be the same for the Premier League next year. Judging off the PDC money release. They didn't really think about that release. You know, when they released all the money, what the breakdown was for the prize money next year, that we could work out, like the Grand Slam was changing to 16 groups next year and so on. Which was good.
Thinking ahead's tough, isn't it?
Big Johnny saying shooters for the boxing potentially, Dan.
That'll do. I'll have a look. Somebody will keep me right. Somebody will point towards a bar, and then the night will go on from there.
There'll be loads going on in there, that's for sure. Which will be good. When will the 2026 calendar come out? Normally it's September time, Adam, where the calendar comes out.
It's normally about the time. I feel like it's normally about when the kids go back to school because it always works quite nice into like just for admin purposes in our house to start to work out what's when. So yeah, it's normally around that sort of time.
End of August, beginning of September time. Normally,
I think.
100%. Yeah, normally in and around that time, which will be good to see. I'm looking forward. Hopefully, we get some new bits on Bob's on the calendar.
To be fair, Phil, that wasn't a specific question about the PDC calendar. He just said, "Well, when will the 2026 calendar come out?" That might be the assumption that you and I are, because I've heard that Daniela and Charlotte aren't knocking theirs out this year. Like they're not going to do the calendar this year. That might have been a direct question about the online Darts Live Lounge calendar 2026.
Well, get the old Photoshop out.
Well, we can do the photos while we're in Blackpool, can't we? one on a donkey, one in Pop World. We can
have Dan running down the beach like Hasselhoff.
Yeah, that's it. We can get them. Yeah, we'll get. We've got loads of opportunity in Blackpool to get those photographs done. Yeah,
Dan in speedos.
Great idea. Yeah, I'll be in them regardless, mate. That's certainly if the weather's like this. That's what I'll be wearing to go out and watch the fight.
Oh, that would be incredible. Everyone, just a quick reminder as well, this will be available as an audio only in the morning, so you can catch that on all good podcast providers if you want to have a listen to us as well, or just watch us back on YouTube whichever one. Like I say, loads and loads of content from New York, not just specific to New York as well. So make sure you head over and check that out. But again, 2 hours has absolutely flown by this evening. Thank you all so much for your continued support. And like we say, plenty coming up. World Series, Pro Tour streams, the race for the match play is on the line next week. So make sure you have those notifications turned on here at Online Darts. But I've been Phil Bars, Dan Simpson. We are signing off for another Monday, and we'll see you all next week. Same time, same place. See you all there.